Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special edition of Dry Time that we are recording now that will still air in my normal 5 o'clock slot, but it's my dad's birthday today. I'm driving to Toledo during that time frame, so figured why not? We'll record it at lunchtime, and of course I have my esteemed guests here with me with Vic, Scott, and Paul, and we'll see if my daughter Sarah joins us later or not, so we'll see. Who knows how many we'll end up with here today. But welcome, guys. How's everyone doing this? We'll say afternoon. It is officially afternoon anyway, so.
Doing all right. How about y'all? Happy birthday, Papa Matt.
Doing great. Awesome seeing Paulie. You know, of course, the two other guys. But it's always good to see Paul.
That's right. We're bringing up some of the old Enterprise grounds for 3 or 4 of us anyway. So from way back in the day.
7D in the house.
Oh boy, the horror stories we could tell from Enterprise.
8389F.
There you go.
All right. Of course, we start with what am I wearing? What are we wearing? But I had lots of choices. I did think about going with my Winnipeg's Jets jersey after last night's miraculous come from behind Game 7 win. But for a later subject, I'm going with my good old Jose shirt for a later topic for discussion. Who else wants to share today what they're wearing?
Just simple back-to-back playoff appearances for the Canes from 2021. So a couple more years after that. So. And we don't want you to wear the Jets. We don't want to make Chip too upset. So
that's right.
I'm pretty sad. I realized in the
I got my Marty McFly going on in my my work outfit.
You do have the Marty McFly. I do appreciate that. It is a little Marty McFly. Hello, McFly.
I realized in the last segment that we were on that I didn't have any of my.
Looks like we may have lost Paulie.
Am I on? Do you not hear me?
Yeah, he's there. I hear him.
Okay, cool.
No, the beep was because Showtime Sarah just joined in.
Showtime Sarah's here, so forget it. I'm chopped liver. I actually ordered a new Panthers Stanley Cup Champions 2024 shirt, which has not arrived. I was hoping it was going to arrive in time for this meeting, so you're just stuck with my regular love for the most.
You gotta be okay with your Jags and where they're heading. I think you're okay. So, Sarah, welcome in. Are you sharing what you're wearing today, or does it really matter today?
Not matter.
Doesn't matter. Does not matter.
Butterflies.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that. All right, guys. Well, let's jump into it. Yeah. All right. Let's jump into a little bit of stuff from happening over the weekend. We'll start with the Kentucky Derby. The Kentucky Derby always cracks me up. I love it. You know, one of these days I do want to get down there to see one of these lives, but just I don't know what I love more: the outfit watching of people, how drunk people gets closer and closer to post time, or the actual race itself, because you watch it for a couple hours and then boom, 3 minutes and the race is over. But it was a pretty good one. Sovereignty takes down journalism in a pretty close race where Sovereignty pulled off in what was definitely a muddy track. Anyone got any thoughts on the big Kentucky Derby?
Very muddy.
Why is it always muddy? I feel like every single year it's raining on the exact.
Lately, seems like it's been that way, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But wasn't it something like this year, like every horse except for like 1 or 2 was like somehow a descendant of Secretariat?
No, I think it's every
horse.
One.
Every single one, which is crazy. And there was like 20 of them.
Well, I can tell you, I was at the Delaware Park on Saturday watching that race right here where I am right now. And there must have been hundreds of people there watching on the big screen outside. And, of course, down in the sports books. It was amazing. The atmosphere here, hundreds of miles away, was awesome.
Any trifectas there?
The what?
Any trifectas there? Super trifectas?
I'm certainly. I mean, I won $90. I put $10 on Sovereignty, and I won 90. Well,
nice.
79.99 or something.
Yeah, there you go. Winning's good.
So when they show them at these other parks, Scott, is everyone dressed to the nines like it's the real thing? Like, are they all wearing their hats and everything too?
Well, some people here, it wasn't as crazy, but the greatest thing was it was so packed outside at the racetrack that it started pouring right when the horses took off. So everyone ran back, and there were only a few of us watching in the rain, and we had the best seats in the house.
That's awesome. Yeah, I do love the Derby, and of course, this is a perfect segue for me too, because I did see the Derby did have the anthem, and they did show it. So this leads right into our Jose, Can You Sing update with the latest one. Now, up top here on the list is our current leader, Carnell Johnson from Vegas. He's amazing. Unfortunately, Vegas did survive. Never mind.
Mhm.
Saying Vegas out. I can't keep track of who's out anymore. So he's still top in 50. But if we go down to our latest ones, we do have my Florida one. How's she pronounce her name, Paul? Is it Veer? Is that how she pronounces it?
Veer,
something like that. Well, she was okay. I mean, she did get the lowest of the 5 newest ones. She got a 39. But for Florida, though, that's one of the better ones. Like some of the ones from last year, I think were in the 20s. So she did okay. I mean, she actually, I thought she had a pretty good, decent range and stuff, but I just didn't. She was just okay. It was fine. Finally got the Minnesota guy. He was pretty good, 42. He was a bit pitchy, but overall, I thought he was okay. The Edmonton guy, Robert Clark, he's been around forever. I think he actually does a really good. The only thing I hate with Edmonton is he does the anthem from the crowd, and so when he gets to the Canadian anthem, he's kind of screaming it, and he only does the first verse because then he just lets the crowd sing it, which is fun. I mean, I get it; it's awesome there. So they get the 10 for the atmosphere, but he's not actually singing it other than the first verse. And then Grace Potter did the Kentucky Derby anthem, and I thought she was really good. The only thing was she was a little slow. That would be my only criticism of it. It was a little slow, and she had that weird rate thing that she did at the end where she just really took the last few notes like way on longer than what they needed to go. But besides for that, I thought she did pretty good. So she scored a 43. So anything of those 43s to 42 is a pretty solid job. So any anthems thoughts out there, guys?
That's your gig.
Hey, I did from the last show. I did share with Matt separately the national anthem from the playoff game between the Jaguars and the LA Chargers years ago.
Yeah, what did I say? I think I said I would have given it like a 42 or 43, didn't I?
I think you gave it a 45 is what I have to go back, but it was Derek Trucks on guitar and Susan Tedeschi singing, and
Tedeschi Trucks, awesome.
It was a nice combination.
Yep. I did give it a 45.
Robert Randolph.
You're right.
Was Robert Randolph playing?
No, it's just Derek and Susan. He was just playing guitar, and he gave her the space for her voice to shine.
Did
yeah? They're amazing.
Very well together.
They're
incredible.
It was
very good watching together. They got a solid 9 all the way across the board for that 45. You're right. So if they would be on there, they'd be right in there in that top 10 range. So we'll see. Now for the second round, if they can't, a person can't go onto this list twice, but if they sing an anthem and I think it's better than what's on here, they can improve their score. They cannot worsen their score. So that's the good news for them. Their score cannot get worse. It can only improve if they just knock it out of the park in the second round. So we'll see as we move forward if anyone does that or not. But my girl in Tampa's out, so that's kind of sad. Who knows who Carolina will bring if they they'll probably keep bringing back Adam Lee Decker, but Vegas is around, so that means Carnell Johnson will be there. Dallas, Selena Ray, she's okay. She doesn't really move the needle for me that much, and we'll see. Never know what they do in Toronto too. They seem to have a wide range of folks, and then the guys in DC, Caleb Green and Bob McDonald, will be back too, which is good. I do love them too. So we do still have some good anthem guys out there for sure. So, all right. Anything else on the anthem guys before we get into the meat and potatoes of today?
I was at the ale house when the Derby was going on, but the only thing I recognize Grace Potter from is that she was on the Tangled album. From the Tangled.
She was?
On the Tangled movie, yeah.
I didn't even know that.
That's a flashback of time for me.
It is, no kidding. So, all right, let's get into some real stuff. And of course, I have to start with my guy. I think he may be the most underrated baseball player in the game still today. But Jose Ramirez last week hit a big milestone: 250 home runs, 250 stolen bases. He did it, of course, in the 10th inning where his stolen base led to the game-winning run, because that's just what Jose does. He just generates stuff. He's the second switch hitting to join Carlos Beltran on the list. Only 24 players in Major League Baseball history had done the 250-250. He is the first primary third baseman to do it, and he's only the 7th player to do all 250-250, which is one team, joining Ryan Sandberg in Chicago, Willie Mays and Barry Bonds with the Giants, Robin Yount in Milwaukee, Craig Biggio in Houston, some guy named Derek Jeter with the Yankees. Those are the only ones that have done 250, 250 with one team. Then if you get to it, which I think is definitely possible for him because he's not really that old, he should likely, barring injury, get to 300, 300. And if he does 300, 300, there's only 8 Major League Baseball players that have done 300, 300. Barry Bonds, Willie Mays, Andre Dawson, Bobby Bonds, Reggie Sanders, which that name surprised me, and Steve Finley, another one that surprised me, and then Alex Rodriguez and Carlos Beltran are the ones that would be 300, 300, which, barring injury, he should hit within a year or two. Guys, any thoughts on my main man, Jose Ramirez?
I think he could get to 400, 400.
He might. He could. That'll take a little bit of doing, but we'll see.
Let's see. He's 32, right?
Yeah, he's about 32. So as long as he can stay healthy, I mean, he averages about 30 home runs, 30 steals a year. I mean, last year he was the home run short of 40-40 in joining Ohtani, but they lost that game with a rain out because there's not a doubt in my mind he would have hit a home run in that game. He would have been swinging for the fences the entire game, but we'll see how that all goes. But yeah, I think 300, 300 is a lock. And then, I mean, it's weird that people are still talking about, well, he might be a Hall of Famer. Like, no, this dude's a Hall of Famer. I'm sorry, but I know I'm biased when it comes to Jose. So,
Baseball Hall of Fame is very tricky and slippery, more than any other hall that there is. It's not the way I would choose to do it.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think Jose Ramirez is an unbelievable player. I mean, he is, what was he, 32? Like you said, he's batting 279 total, 502 slugging, 352 on base percentage in that time, which is really good. Not great, but it's really good. But that 250, that's amazing. And the fact that he's 32 and I think he had his best stolen base year last year with 41 stolen bases. So is he only getting better? So those are interesting things. There is however, his playoff performances. 239, 4 home runs, 18 RBIs, 2 stolen bases in 42 games. Even if he never plays a playoff game again, if he continues for the next 8 years, he's in the Hall of Fame. But he's not there yet.
Agree. I think he's got some the playoffs. Well, the playoffs have been an issue for the guards' bats for many years. So what can you say about that? So
I will finish this off with he is actually one of the best hitting third basemen statistically kind of all time, especially with their stolen bases. I mean, he's pretty darn good.
You won't get any argument on me with that. I love seeing him. I love seeing him every Friday night at the corner of Carnegie in Ontario whenever he's in the lineup. So it is all good for sure.
He's supposedly not a great. I'm sorry, real quick. He's not a great fielder, but he's a good fielder.
Yeah, I think he's gotten. But I think well, this year's not been a good year for him. It's probably been one of his worst ones so far, as far as in the field. But he makes all the plays he's supposed to. But his base running is just like there's a game last year where he stole second, and then on a wild pitch scored. Just didn't stop running, and but that's what he does constantly. It's just his effort and his running. He's smart because he's not. You look at him, he's not fast. It's not like he's speedy fast, but he has baseball sense that is just out of this world. All right, enough about Jose. So real quick, we'll do some real quick NBA stuff. The East, everything is set on both the NBA and the NHL side. The East is Cleveland against Indiana, which their first game won was yesterday. And of course, being a Cavs fan, I guess we'll call it. It was hard to watch. Indiana just shot the threes and just kept hitting them. And Cleveland got close and they actually took the lead there. Started thinking, okay, they're going to win this game. But then Indiana just lit it up from the 3-point range. And I don't know what Cleveland's perimeter defense was doing because it sure wasn't. I mean, they were dominating inside, but they stopped going inside and they were trying to outshoot Indiana from the 3-point line instead of sticking with their game. But that was kind of hard to watch yesterday before the hockey game really kicked in. Any thoughts on Cleveland, Indiana series, guys?
Benedict Mathurin, the best name in the NBA.
Who is that?
Indiana. Benedict Mathurin.
Yeah, he was good. I mean, that whole Indiana starting five is just crazy. Like their starting five is just so consistent. 20 points, 20 points, 20 points. Like every single one of them had 23
They're built for the playoffs.
Points.
Honestly, their lineup.
They are. They're not the matchup I wanted to see Cleveland get, but what can you do? You got to beat them if you're going to get there. So Let's see. Then the other one is Boston, New York, which is, I think, always fun. Everyone loves a good Boston, New York series. New York didn't really fare that well with Boston in the regular season, but I think there's some cautious optimism from New York, but I honestly just don't see it. I think Boston's the team to beat, especially in the East. I just don't know. Maybe New York makes this a series, but I'm just not really sold on the New York Knicks making it a series against the Celtics.
Agree.
It's good for ratings.
Good for ratings, yeah. Unlike the NHL playoffs, which is not good for ratings with these matchups, even though I love the matchups personally. I think they're great hockey matchups, but they are not going to move the TV needle, unfortunately, on the NHL side. But yeah, I agree. The Boston, New York will definitely get the ratings. So
it's never the Knicks. It's never the Knicks until they can actually prove it. So
right, exactly. I agree with you, Scott. That's 100% true. The West, we've got some good ones. I think the OKC Denver matchup could be interesting. You know, Denver took 7 games to get through the Clippers, but they're a fun team. They've been there before. Where OKC, you know, they were the best team in the league, but I think they're still a bit young. You know, could Denver pull off this upset and beat OKC in this round, or do we think OKC's rolling through it?
Yeah, any team with Jokic on it could win. That guy's a beast.
He is. He almost single-handedly won that series for Denver too, a couple different games. Yep. And I think the fun one, which Dylan couldn't join us today, but shout out to Dylan because he called Golden State beating Houston, and then he called Minnesota beating the Lakers out west, and sure enough, that happened. He's got Minnesota, Golden State, and so tip of the hat to him because he called this, and a lot of people, I think, when he was on the show, saying Minnesota was going to beat the Lakers and Golden State was going to beat Houston, weren't too sure about that, but sure enough, he got them both right. The surprising hero last night for Golden State was a guy named Buddy Held, who scored 33 for Golden State coming out of nowhere. I love those type of stories of the players that you just don't expect to be the Game 7 heroes that end up being the Game 7 heroes for their team. It's always fun.
You said Buddy the Elf? Is that what you said?
Buddy Hield?
Buddy.
I don't remember where he played college at. I remember him from college, but I don't remember where.
Well, that's usually how it goes. They usually do go to some college, so yes. Come on, my phone's not cooperating with me. I was going to try to look him up real quick.
Oklahoma, maybe? Oklahoma State, something like
that. We shouldn't be getting out false information, so let's look up Buddy Health and see where he went to. Here he goes. Oh, he's from the Bahamas, too. How about that? Golden State. Let's see. Yep, Oklahoma.
Look at that.
Oh, right.
Look at that. You were right. All right. Any thoughts on the NBA stuff, guys? I know that's not why I brought you on here. We're here to do the hockey talk, but I try to be a thorough show with everything. All right. Well, we'll move it on then. So it's time for our favorite segment, the Drive to the Net. Before we get into the NHL stuff, there is some exciting news on the PWHL front. I'm a little bit surprised with the expansion. I knew that they were going to expand it. You had to expand more than 6 teams. The 2 cities announced, though, were Seattle and Vancouver. Not that I don't think Seattle and Vancouver will be great markets. It's just you're a young league starting up. I really thought the slam dunks were going to be Detroit and Pittsburgh because they've done really well when the league has toured down in those 2 places. It makes sense with the other 6 cities to not have these expended travel costs of now having to have teams go out west, which it's going to be they're going to play a minimum 2 games out west. They're going to probably play Seattle, Vancouver, and it probably wouldn't shock me either if they keep them out there and have them play 4 games there just to help the travel costs. But what do you guys think on going out west with 2 teams when you've got 6 teams out east and you're a young league that's trying to make it?
Hope they have the money.
Yeah,
right.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
Sarah, what are your thoughts with because I know you followed from seeing the game that was there in Raleigh with Minnesota playing. What do you think? Think they'll work out west with Seattle and Vancouver?
I'm pretty sure Vancouver had like pretty good attendance numbers. I don't remember Seattle that much, but I mean when me and Ash were down there, Raleigh, like I would obviously like hope for PWHL to be down south eventually. But I mean, them expanding out west, I guess it's a good sign. I mean, if they feel confident that they can do all that traveling and everything. But I mean, it's got to happen eventually, I guess why not do it now? That's
agree. I thought they would maybe go 2 cities east this time and then do 4 out west. Because 4, if you're going to go west, it seems like you should do that. Should be the time when you do 4 and bring in an LA or wherever else out west that you want to go. So that way you got 4 teams that can play each other on a more regular basis. But then again, I guess hey, the Big Ten can afford to have the USC and UCLA come east, 3, 4, 5 times a year. So they must have the money, which I hope it works well for them, because I do want to see. I mean, how the playoffs, which we'll get into here next. I mean, they're going to be playing. Montreal's going to be playing in Bell Center. Ottawa's playing in their big arena. Toronto can't, because they're going to. The Maple Leafs are playing, but Minnesota's going to be playing at the Xcel Center. So I'll be curious to see what the crowds look like for that, because the regular season did come to an end. The defending champs, the Minnesota Frost, they had to win their last game against Boston to get in. So they are both in it, along with Montreal, who was the top team with 53 points. Toronto was second with 48. And then you had 3 teams tied at 44: Ottawa, Minnesota, and Boston. Boston was the odd team out. So Ottawa and Minnesota are in. So your matchups are Minnesota against Toronto and Ottawa against Montreal. These are the best 3 out of 5 series. Tops in the leagues were kind of your no real surprising names. We've heard them all in the Olympics. Hillary Knight and Sarah Fillier were the top leading scorers. Both had 29 points. Hillary for Boston, Sarah for the New York Sirens. Neither team made the playoffs, which I thought was interesting. Marie-Philippe Poulin for Montreal led the league with 19 goals. Knight and Teresa Vanaskova for Ottawa were tied with 15. Renita Fost with Toronto and Fillier were the league leaders in assists with 16 on the goalie side. And Renee Devens from Montreal was lights out, the best goalie in that league, 15 wins. She also had a save percentage of .932, which is insane. That's just an insane number. And then a goals against average of 186. Equally crazy good. And then another good goalie, though, was Erin Franklin from Boston. She had 12 wins, .921 save percentage. And Maddie Rooney, the defending Ladies Cup champion. I don't know I got to figure out what the name of that trophy is, but she had a 2.07 goals against average. Any thoughts on the PWHL and who's going to win it?
Don't
all jump in at once, guys.
Ladies.
So this is your two. I thought you'd be ready. I got my Minnesota Frost. That's my team, and they won it last year. So I'm hoping for back to back.
Back to back? Really?
Yeah.
They barely made it in, though.
All you gotta do is just get in. Just win, baby. Just win, baby.
I don't know. I think Toronto's got it.
Yeah. Well, Toronto's.
Well, Canada's got to win something eventually. So.
Right. Wouldn't it be funny if they got 3 teams in it and Minnesota still wins it, and then they can't get this, and then they don't get the Stanley Cup again this year? That'd be kind of funny to me. But all right,
the women's team wins before the men's team.
That's true.
All this talk of women's hockey is making me want to bust out the 1984 classic Hockey Night with Kathy Yarrow in goal.
Yeah, go for it. All right, we'll move on. We talked about this last week that good old Sullivan was fired, and that we did not think that he would be without a job long, and that was correct. The New York Rangers immediately hired him up. I'm kind of sad that he's staying in the Metro, but not terribly surprised by it either. And then the other big news is Rick Tocchet, who was with Vancouver. He was technically a free agent. But they were trying to negotiate a deal with him, and Tocchet has decided to leave. My guess is going to be that Tocchet is probably going to be the next coach of the Philadelphia Flyers at some point in time, because that's where he's got his most team ties to. But any thoughts on Sullivan being a Ranger and where Tocchet is going?
The Rangers are a mess, and Vancouver is a mess.
Yeah.
So I don't think it really matters who the coaches are.
Yeah, I think it's like something in the Rangers office that is kind of just like destroying them, because I don't know if it was the coaching, but yeah, I don't know if it was the coaching, but it's just not.
Well, we can say
we'll have to
see
how next year goes, because they're going to have to make a lot of changes, because I mean, players aren't happy, staff isn't happy. It is a fiery pit of HE double hockey sticks.
I mean, they're 1 year removed from a playoff run. I mean, Not that I thought that they were going to win the cup, but I mean, they had some pieces, and then they just.
But they went from the President's Trophy winner to out of the playoffs.
They took a huge step back.
Although I guess Boston's kind of doing that too, but
yeah.
But Boston, you could kind of see because Boston was aging. Like I thought that I thought that this was the time for Boston to be out.
Boston's got Rangers, the players that are it's the aging core, but Rangers, there's not really an explanation. Like you got one of the best goalies in the league right now, and they got some pretty good players too. I mean, they got the money for it as well. It just nothing's clicking.
Nope, I agree 100%.
They can keep not clicking for a luck here.
Oh yeah, no, I don't like the Rangers either, but
I don't think any of us will be that upset the Rangers are not good next year. I don't think there's anyone on here that will be like, oh, poor New York. We feel so sorry for them.
So I got a few things on that real quick. So Sullivan, he's actually a really good coach.
Agreed.
He's 479, 311 total. Pittsburgh, just the past few years, they haven't done really great in the player personnel situation, is one way to put it. It's not a knock on, Crosby or, those guys, but the rest of the team, ugh. So, and then there's this other thing where I think he'll do fine on the Rangers. I think the Rangers aren't like this horrible, horrible team. Like Paul said, they're there. So they can get right back in it with a good coach. Here's an interesting thing, though. I look at the two one's a former and one is still a coach in Pittsburgh, which is the Steelers side is that, okay, so Sullivan, he really good early on in his career in Pittsburgh, won 2 straight Stanley Cup championships. Okay, so recently they haven't been to the playoffs in 3 years, and they haven't won a series in 7 years. So now we look at the Steelers real quick. Mike Tomlin, really good, successful early. What was it, 2009 when he won the Super Bowl? That's a long time ago. He has not won a playoff game in 8 years. So, I give it to games. I give it to the Steelers. I give it to the Penguins for cutting the coach off. Steelers might want to think about that in the near future.
Shots at Mike Tomlin fired. I like it.
All right. I mean, I have a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers fans who would go to the grave for the guy. I also have a lot that said he should have been fired 4 years ago. So,
yeah, I know it is. It is a fun topic of Mike Tomlin. So,
I would just say I like playing the Steelers in the playoffs if I'm a Jags fan. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I would like playing anyone in the playoffs as a Raiders fan right now. So I'd like to be back into the playoffs. So maybe that's for me. Yeah, right. All right. Any other thoughts on the coaches, guys?
Yeah, Rick Tocchet, real quick. He's not a good coach. You take away last year, he won the Jack Adams Trophy. I get it. And that was a really good team he had last year. But you take away last year, he's 236 and 242 total. I mean, the guy normally is in 4th, 5th, or 6th place in the conference, or excuse me, in his divisions or conference, whatever. He's just not a good coach. But someone's going to pick him up, and then they'll fire him in 2 years.
I think still today. Look at Scott.
Yeah, Scott came prepared.
Different kind of shots.
But I agree with him. I don't think Tocchet is a great coach. I'm not really sure why there's the love for him, but I think he might be a good fit in Philly just because he's got the Philly connections. Maybe it works there. But I think you're right. I think in 2 years it won't work, and Philly will be. But Philly's another one of those teams that just keep recycling coaches right now. So
I mean, the irony of me talking about Rick Tocchet is I'm in a casino.
Right. Love it. All right, let's dive into some of the actual hockey, and I think we have to start with the two teams that are now going to be playing each other after 2 just insane Game 7s. Both teams come from 2-goal deficits in the third period. Dallas was the Mikko Rantanen show, unfortunately, where he just has the first goal, then he has the second one, which is a little bit of bad luck if you're a Colorado fan. Then he sets up the game winner, which was a questionable holding call with 4 minutes left in a tie game 7. Was it hold? Probably. Did it really affect the play? Probably not. Did I like that call in that situation? No, I really didn't. But it is what it is. And then they get the empty netter to win it. Then, of course, last night, Winnipeg is just dead for rights with 3 minutes left. St. Louis won on this icing the puck instead of really trying, I think, force the issue. It bites them with getting it within 1, and then there's 10 seconds left. The puck is in the corner, and every player is taught once that puck goes in the corner, if you're the defending team, you do not let the puck get out of the corner. You eat it and you keep that thing there. You get your ass beat up, but that puck doesn't come out of that corner. And
that's how the Panthers won the final game of the Stanley Cup last year, is they kept it in the corner.
Yes, exactly. They were great at it. I think they won 3 or 4 games that way, really, where that puck got in the corner, it just never came out. But for whatever reason, St. Louis tries to throw it out, and they throw it back into the D, and it goes over on 2 bang passes, and next thing you know, the game is tied with 3 seconds left. It is the latest tying goal in a Game 7 in NHL history. And then they go on to win it on another tip play in double overtime, which was just a really not lucky, but a really well play. You knew it was going to be a tip that was going to have to beat one of those 2 goalies with the way the overtime was going. And so with that, Winnipeg and Dallas advance, taking out Colorado and a really upstart St. Louis team that just was on an incredible ride and almost rode it into the second round. Fortunately for Connor Hellebuyck, he lives to play another series, because I think if they would have lost that game, I'm not sure that he would have been able to play in Winnipeg next year. I think they would have had to made a trade. I just don't think it would have worked, but he probably buys him some time. The scary thought, if you're the NHL, is Dallas won a series without Heiskanen and without Robertson, and they're definitely going to get Heiskanen back probably for Game 1, and they might get Robertson back sometime this series. So is it look out for the Dallas Stars, guys and gal?
Unfortunately, yes.
At least in like the series, because Winnipeg could have won that in 5, and they've choked it. And there's a lot of debate about your goaltending, if it's just some sort of, fraud. And, of course, Hellebuck's like, it's okay. I've studied goaltending. I know what I'm doing. I don't think you do. I don't think he does. So, second chance bracket, I have put Dallas and the Stanley Cup final. I think Dallas is winning this series. Just the scare that Winnipeg has had in the in that first round, just having that much trouble getting past St. Louis, which don't get me wrong, St. Louis is a hot team. And like it makes me kind of feel a little sad that now they're out, because I kind of like the run that they were having against Winnipeg. But Dallas, I mean, again, like, yeah, the series was kind of like back and forth. I really wish Colorado could have won that one. But, I mean, seeing Dallas win, and I'm just kind of like, okay. So, second chance bracket, I put Dallas going against Carolina. And I have like 3 different brackets, and it's all Carolina winning.
One of them's going to hit.
I'm riding the delusion. So, I got Edmonton, Carolina, one of them, Winnipeg, Carolina, one of them, and Dallas, Carolina, and the other one. So,
all right. Well, we know we should pick it for the later one, but we'll get there later.
I think St. Louis fans have got to be gutted because they literally had this one wrapped up. They were playing with house money, and it just seemed like they were not going to go down. And it's one of these things where the last 10 minutes of that game, they were playing to not lose.
Yeah.
I was more surprised than anybody that Winnipeg won the series, even though I picked them to win the series. And quite frankly, I think I picked them to go all the way. And I'm kind of second guessing myself just because the sheer number of goals that Hellebuyck gave up in this series is insane. And if you're going to be doing anything, you need solid goaltending. And they beat him. I think they showed the stat something like 13 times they beat him glove side high.
Yeah.
Like something's really, really wrong with your game if you're getting beat that consistently on your glove side.
Yep.
So I would love for Winnipeg to win this series because it's well documented that I loathe Dallas. But Dallas is playing. They're just playing lights out. I mean, the way that they're playing very, very smart hockey. What is it? They said, is his name DeBoer, the manager?
Yeah.
This was his 9th Game 7, and he's
your old manager,
and he's lost none.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane. And I'm saying to myself, he's going to lose this one. And sure enough, the last period, I'm like, are you kidding me? Could not believe it. Could not believe the way that that game rounded out, because I thought that Dallas was another one that was about to exit stage left. And Colorado, they just didn't seem like they were on the same page a lot. It didn't seem like they could, even Winnipeg in the game last night, up until the last 5 minutes of the game, it's like half the time they couldn't even complete a pass. They couldn't keep a pass in the zone. They had so many extra passes just because they couldn't control the puck. So would love to see Winnipeg win this series. I just don't know if they're going to regroup, but that's why we play the games.
Yep.
How are you feeling, Dad? Because they were your winners.
Yeah, I went 7 for 8 in the first round. Unfortunately, the one that I lost was Colorado, who I had winning it all. So yeah, that one hurt a little bit. There's some crazy stats. This is Colorado has now lost 7 straight game 7s.
Yeah,
You
saw that.
talked about DeBoer, who is now 8-0 in game 7s. But the weird side is Dallas has also lost 8 straight series openers. So if you're a betting person, the odds say take Winnipeg for game 1 because Dallas just doesn't win game 1s, but then they come back and win the series. It's really those two teams just had some weird things that they're just going on.
Like they say, hockey doesn't make sense sometimes.
Right.
Especially playoff hockey. Everything changes.
I think the Jets Blues thing is the Blues just outplayed. They really outplayed the Jets, and the Jets, I don't know, they weren't in the series, if you will. The Blues are totally in the series. They took it totally seriously. But I think the Jets said they're the better team. They won at the end. You're the better team. They sort of just got through and won. That's how I see them playing the Stars. Stars are amazing. This is another one that could go along a long series. I mean, especially watching Rico Rantanen, Mikko. He pulled it. Stephane Matteau, Marc Messier, all in the third period alone. So he was insane. But that should be an interesting series coming up.
Yeah, Rantanen was motivated for sure.
12 points in that series he scored, and Connor had 11. Yeah, I always when we get down to these two, when we get down to the final 8, I always look at special teams and goaltending because I think that's where these series are won. Winnipeg's at 22% on the power play, only 77% on the kill. Dallas was 30% on the power play, 86% on the kill. And then you look at the goalies. Jake's coming in with a 911 and a 285. Connor's coming in with a lovely 830 and 385. To me, it just says Dallas and probably I think 5 or 6.
I mean, but this is the time where you get to see, was St. Louis just hotter than anybody else at the time? Because they won 15 games to even make the playoffs. Were they just the hot team that was just playing with house money? Because they almost ran away with it. Quite honestly, if it was St. Louis that would have won, I might take them over Dallas.
Agree. Any other thoughts on Winnipeg, Dallas, guys?
Ottinger's playing very hot.
Yep, agree. All right, what should be the wild west shootout of the playoffs? Vegas against Edmonton. I don't know what to make of this series because you talk about goaltending and leading into it. Aiden Hill was not great against Minnesota. He's sitting there with an 88 save percentage and a 283. Picard is likely going to be the starter for Edmonton. He's coming in with an 893 and a 293 goals against average. Both of these teams' offenses are really high scoring. I think this is going to be a whichever team scores last wins the game type of series. And I honestly don't know. I think I picked Edmonton to win it just because that's who my pick was, but I've got nothing else.
I got Vegas. I don't trust Edmonton. I don't trust their defense or goaltending. So
I agree with that.
I want to say I picked Edmonton, but quite honestly, these are two teams that I don't think either of them have performed to the level that I expected them to in round 1. So, I mean, this is why you play games, because sometimes it's just the matchups are tough, and sometimes it's just, guys are hurt and getting healthy. Whatever it is, it'll be interesting to see if both of these teams can kind of regain the form that they were in earlier in the year, because I don't know that either of them is kind of hitting on all cylinders. In the end, I think Edmonton's got more stars. But it's not like the cupboard's bare in Vegas either.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting series. Another one where I think it's one of those that could go game 7. Who knows what we're going to see? Kind of like Paulie was saying. I actually initially picked the Oilers to win, so that's in my pool. But after going over this, seeing what's going on, I'm actually picking the Knights. I can't change my pick, but that's fine.
You can for other show because we have the ability because we're going at this series by series, and I think I kind of I think I agree with you, Dal. I think Vegas is looks better between the two teams right now, but it's hard to count on any team with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl I think that's the key, right? If Vegas can shut down that line, and Edmonton's power play, which is at hold on here. I got the stats here for their power play too. It's Edmonton's power plays at 38% in the first round. Their PK though is not good, 60%. And Vegas was sitting there at 27% of the power play and 76% on the PK. So neither team has been lights out on the PK. I think which team can stay out of the box is going to have a long way to go with this one too, because the power plays have both been good and the PKs are not good. Sarah, what do you got?
This one, it goes like, it's basically 50-50, but like I'm more so on Vegas side right now because like, yeah, Edmonton's got the stars, like their stars, but I mean LA, rest in peace LA. I don't know why I always keep going for LA every single year. Every single year I think it's their year, and they just, Edmonton is like their kryptonite or something. I don't know if they just had a different.
LA could have swept this series. They were up in games 3 and 4. They easily could have swept this series. They're up in games 3 and 4 in the third period, and yeah, I agree with you. LA does it. They're like the Charlie Brown, and Lucy just keep pulling the football away.
But I mean, Edmonton didn't have it, and then maybe if that series, like obviously near the end of it, if they finally got into the game a little bit, and obviously they came away with the series, but I think obviously Vegas could still be an even bigger wake-up call for them to kind of figure out what's going on, especially with their goaltending and their defense. I like you said, I think Vegas has got a definitely better team stat-wise. I mean, yeah, Hill hasn't been playing great, but I mean, they still have a lot of other key concepts in their team that I really could see. I could see this being like a 6-7 series, though. And anything, I could really see anybody winning it. But I think Vegas is kind of the stronger team. The thing is, I think they're still going to lose probably by Dallas in the Western Conference Finals. So,
yep.
What we'll do.
Probably agree with you. I don't see whoever wins the series beating Dallas either right now, the way Dallas is playing. But we'll see. Vic, any thoughts on Vegas Edmonton?
Let's see. You got McDavid, Draisaitl, Eichel, March or so, I think.
Yep. No. Is he still there? Or is he in Stone? Yeah, Marchessault went down to Nashville.
Yeah.
Did Stone get injured, or was that just a?
No, he was in last series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's his long-term injuries are only during the regular season. Then he comes back to the playoffs. All right, well, let's get to what we really want to get to. Let's get to the east side. We'll start with the gentleman whose game is tonight. We got Toronto, Florida. Florida was asking, the Toronto fans were saying, we want Florida, we want Florida. Well, you got them. I don't get it. Like, why did everyone, there were so many people that picked Tampa Bay to win the cup, and I didn't get it. Like, I get that Florida kind of wasn't great during the end of the season, but you knew the why. They were in control. They were without a couple of their better players, like for injuries and other reasons. I didn't see, I'm sorry, Florida's the defending champs, and until they lose, I'm not counting against them, and they showed it again. And man, do I hope they take out Toronto. But Paul, this is your team. You get the privilege of going first.
Well, we're going to have one more game without Ekblad tonight, so we'll see how that goes. But rumor has it that this is when I'm going to be really excited to have Brad Marchand wearing my team's colors. So,
oh yeah,
would love nothing more than to just sweep Toronto and just send them into the fetal position for the entire offseason. But not gonna count my chickens. I try not to get too emotional either way. Not too high, not too low when it comes to teams that I root for, but I feel like Florida surprised me in round one, to be honest with you. I mean, I thought that was going to be a lot tougher road than it was. Even Cooper said, like, this is a phenomenal team. They've got no flaws. We can play dirty. We can play fast. We can play, however you want to play. And I just don't know. I just don't know that Toronto matches up super well with this team. I think that you've got a lot of people in that building, and the word that I keep hearing over and over and over and over again is that they believe. And when you got a team that believes, and you got a team that's got talent, and they just don't believe that they're going to lose any game, then you better bring something. Otherwise, it's going to be a long afternoon. So, hopeful we can start the series off right tonight. But it's always going to be a tough challenge. I mean, the games get harder and harder. You got to beat the man to be the man. I think we matched up pretty well, but just want to keep things rolling. I mean, we got a few days off. That kind of makes me nervous. It seems like anytime that we get a few days off, it's usually that first game we get a little bit of rust. So I'm hoping we can just maintain momentum and just keep it rolling, because we're scoring from all lines. I mean that Marchand Marchand Lundell line is on fire right now. They're their goal is to put up at least one score each game, and they're almost there. So should be interesting. Should be fun to watch. I'm excited.
Scott, what you got?
I mean, Paul Maurice says the boys fired up, ready to go, laughing, loving it. So it's awesome. I'm so happy for Paul and my brother and all those Florida Panther fans. They get the woo. I mean, Tampa Bay looked like a bunch of fools out there. I mean, I don't know what they were doing. I mean, it was pathetic, their performance, and hopefully they don't make the playoffs next year just because of it. But Florida's Florida, and then they got Marchand, and I mean, he's going to be licking everyone, pissing everyone off. It's going to be great.
and I would point out that Hagel from Tampa Bay did kind of point out that he was a little bit, I guess, I don't know what the word is, butthurt, that he didn't get Ekblad, Ekblad didn't reach out to him to check on him and see how he's doing. And, to that, I just say, I certainly don't recall any sort of outreach that you gave to Barkov when you just punched him in the face and knocked him out. So cry me a river.
Exactly.
Go score some points.
Vic, what do you got on this one?
I was one of those fools that picked Tampa, so I'm picking Florida this series. So,
all right, Sarah.
Florida's got this one. I will say the way Florida kind of plays, they're dirty, but I mean, you can't hate it unless if Carolina plays them in the next round. I'm gonna hate it. But Florida's got this one. Toronto, you don't want this. I don't know why they wanted this in the first place. I will say Mitch Marner's a dad now.
Yeah.
I think he'll be able to play for game one. He joked about saying his son was smart enough to not arrive on game day. So
he's coming to Carolina next year. So
let's hope.
Really?
All right. Here's some crazy goalie stats. Both Stolars and Bob come in with the same exact 901 save percentage and 221 goals against average. It's kind of crazy that they are dead even on that one. I think the key for Florida is they got to antagonize but not take a lot of stupid penalties. And the reason for that is Toronto is clipping at a 35% power play rate right now. Their PK isn't that great at 80, and Florida's at 25% of the power play, and their PK is good at 89%. I just don't know that you want to keep playing with fire and giving that Toronto power play lots of opportunities a game. Somewhere, I think that number's got to be 2 to 4. As long as they don't go, as long as they're not giving Toronto 5-6 power play opportunities a game every night, I think they'll be fine. But they just can't take the stupid penalties trying to go out and punish them. They just got to be smart and make sure that if they do take a penalty, it's a good hockey penalty. That's my only fear for Florida. And I don't think Mo's going to do it. I mean, that's the one thing with most coach teams. Very rarely do they take stupid over-the-top penalties. I think he's gotten that out of Florida since he's been there, where I'm not really worried about it. But that would be the only way I could see Toronto winning the series, is if their power play just is the difference in the series.
Yep. I love Stolars as a player, but if he starts whacking at Sam Bennett the way he was whacking at some of those players in the last series, Bennett's going to make him eat that stick.
Yeah, they will not take kindly to that.
Stolars a Florida draft pick too, or was he? He was in Florida at one point.
He's a great story because he's one of these guys that kind of has been around in the league as a back, kind of like Lyon was for the Canes and then Florida last year, where it's just a career kind of backup guy who's got his chance in Toronto with Wool, and he's started game one. I think Toronto would have moved off of Stolars if he started off badly, but he didn't. So now you ride him. I mean, there's no other choice about it. So, any other thoughts on Toronto, Florida, guys?
I don't know. I still think obviously Bob is the better.
Florida in 5.
I still think Bob's the better goalie. I don't know if like Stolarz is just overshadowed by the classic Matthews, Marner, all those players because I don't really hear about him a lot. So I can't really say much about how good their goaltending is, but I still think like Bob, like you got like Mo, like Bob's not going to let up an easy goal. He barely does. So I mean, I still think Florida's got it. I could probably see like a 5-6 series, probably though.
All right. So now let's get to the fun one for the other four of us. Unfortunately, Jeff couldn't join us today, so it's 3 against 1 instead of 3 against 2 on this one. But I think Scott, you're going to find that at least a couple of us will be very. I'm trying to come at this just from my fandom side. Obviously, I want Carolina to win the series, but I think from my hosting a show side, I think you'll find that I'm coming at this pretty even keel. But a couple quick stats before we get into it. This to me comes down to goaltending. You got Logan Thompson and Freddie Anderson who were lights out in round 1. Freddie didn't play the last game because of a concussion issue, but he's practicing with the team. He's going to be ready to go. Freddie's at a .936 save percentage. Logan Thompson right behind him at a .923. You've got both teams doing well on their power plays. The Canes have actually seemed to found their power play at 31%. They have not given up a penalty, a power play goal against New Jersey. They went 13 for 13 on the PK. And the Caps are right there as well, too. Their power plays at their typical 23%. Their PK was a little poor against Montreal at 67%, but Montreal's got a hell of a power play line, so I can forgive that. I think this is the making of a rivalry. It's only the second time these two teams have met. The first was, of course, a classic 7-game series that the Canes took out the defending champs in a double overtime. That kind of seemed like it could start a rivalry, but then they just haven't played again until now. But these two teams don't have much love for each other. I just want this to become a good rivalry because the NHL needs some more rivalries, and this has that. It has that powder keg potential to me. So I'm going to let Scott go first.
Well, let's not forget that Ovechkin's, I think he's the only player on the ice that played when they were rivals back in the Southeast Division. But
right.
Be that as it may, I think we all recall the scene in the movie Slapshot when the Hansons finally get their chance and they beat the hell out of everything they see. And then they get a knock on the locker room door. It's a cop, and he just says, "The Hansons." Well, I think the entire NHL is saying, "Wilson."
Right.
Because that guy is just sick. And I don't know, that spark he did the other game that they lost, the bench brawl. Not that it was bench clearing brawl. He just decided that he's in the bench. But bench, I mean, right. That was crazy. And then all the hits that they did, and people complaining about this and that, whatever. Sucks. Hockey hits happens. But it's going to be a physical series. I think the Caps are going to play more physical than Carolina. I think they're bigger, they're more physical, and they're fat. Like Carolina's fast, but as you said, the goalies. But I think that physicality is gonna. I don't want to say wear the Carolina hurt. It's not gonna wear them out, but it's probably gonna push them into too many dumb penalties, this kind of thing, and it's gonna lead to issues. So that's where I am on that at the moment.
All right. Let's go Sarah, because I went Vic first last time. So Sarah, you can go first this time.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really know how this one's gonna go. I want to say Carolina in 6, but then I can also see Washington getting it in 5 or 7. I think this really comes down to the home ice advantage because both buildings are going to be electric. This is probably going to be one of the more physical series out of the playoffs. I could see Florida and Toronto obviously getting a little bit physical because you got the Atlantic rivalry there. That's going to be a fun one brewing up. But Washington and Carolina is probably going to be a little bit more physical. My concern is I can see Washington obviously being more physical, but is Carolina going to debut the new kid? Because if they do debut the new kid, then I could totally see this being a little bit more physical on our side because I really want to see him play, but we just haven't started that yet, I guess. I don't really know what's going on with that, but
All right, Vic. Before I get to you, I'm going to go to our neutral party here, Paul, because I know he's got to leave here before we wrap up at 1. So I want you to get some thoughts in, just in case you got to go before we finish.
Yeah,
up.
I think this is going to be a tough match. I did pick Washington to win. I feel like Washington's got some real firepower. I think, to everyone's point, it is going to be a physical matchup. I think for Carolina to win this series, it's going to have to be the best coaching job that Brendan Moore's done since he's taken over the team. I think he's going to really need to put a game plan together that's going to make sense, because, I mean, it's not like these teams don't know each other. They know each other well enough. You just got to figure out what's that one thing you're going to do different. What's that one thing that you're going to do, better than you've done before. You got two goalies that are both playing pretty solid. Should make for this. This is probably going to be the most entertaining series out of the remaining 8.
Vic, what do you think?
Well, let's see. This is analytics versus the eye test. Analytics favor the Canes if you read a lot of analytical sites. But if you look at eye test and who people are picking, they're mostly picking Washington, like the sites like ESPN and whatnot. So it's an interesting series when you look at that side of it. But yeah, I think that our third defensive pair needs to have some more size on it. You got Ghost and Walker, and then you got Protas on the third line for Washington, who's 6'4". They're just going to smash our third pair. So, I would like to see Nikishin. I don't see him come in unless one of the two get injured.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they'll come in unless there's an injury. I think what's interesting with these two teams, they both use speed and they both use physicality, but they go about two totally different ways. I think Washington tries to use their speed to create quality scoring chances, create little odd man breaks down low that then, of course, you got one of the best goal scorers ever. And let's be honest, Ovi eats Carolina for lunch, breakfast, and dinner. He's just owned them over the years. Those plays set up for these nice little scoring shots, but they don't necessarily go for where Carolina goes for quantity. They just will possess the puck, and possess the puck. And then eventually that's how they try to wear teams down, because you're so busy chasing the puck the entire game. That's all that you're doing. So it's interesting how both teams use their speed. And so I think that's going to be the key, is whichever one can use their speed to crack the other team's goalie. I honestly think Washington will win this series, but if somehow this series goes to Carolina in Game 3, I will just say this: this will be my only guarantee I make, because for whatever reason, Carolina has not had a lot of home playoff games on weekends. It's going to be 76. The game time is at 6 p.m. on Saturday for Game 3. You want to talk about how loud the Novo Center can get for a playoff game. That crowd is going to be all good and lathered up, because they don't have to worry about getting off of work early. They'll be in the parking lot at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning for a 6 o'clock puck drop. That place for Game 3 is going to be crazy. That's the only thing I'm going to guarantee. And look, I love the crowd at that in Washington is a great playoff crowd too, but I'm guaranteeing that's going to be my only guarantee, is the crowd for Game 3 is going to be crazy good for the Canes. That will be the one game where I think that they'll just come out guns a-blazing. Whether or not it'll matter or not, I don't know, but that's my only guarantee, is that the crowd for Game 3 is going to be good and lathered up.
I think good old John Forston's going to be calling the game Saturday.
Yep, sounds like it.
Hey, John Forsland was Miami 4 years, and I wasn't very happy about that one either for John Forsland. It's kind of annoying. But I got with Jerry Cheever, Rick Peckham and Jerry Cheevers, Hartford. Look it up. Those are great. Two players not spoken about really is Dylan Strome. I think he's going to have a series. He's going to be that speed that you were talking about that comes around the edge.
With 9.
Yeah, I mean, he's just, this is when people are going to really get to know him. And the unsung player that they traded for earlier this year, and some people were like, why? Lars Eller. I almost called him Ulrich. Lars Eller, because that dude's good. I mean, the way he can win faceoffs, I mean, that's what he's here for. So watch Lars Eller at the end of games when, the Canes are down by maybe 1, they pulled the goalie, that kind of thing. I mean, those key face-off wins are going to be, they're going to be big time.
Agree. I think that the fun player for Carolina and all this, if they're going to have a shot at this, and he started to finally get a little bit of love in the Four Nations tournament, is Art, who I think is still the best. He's going to be he's the best defending defenseman on the ice in this series, and that's Jacob Slavin. He makes plays that these 2-on-1 breaks that you think they're going to get a great scoring opportunity, and he knows how to use the stick and where to put it, and his body. I think Jacob Slavin could be yes. I know you got to go, Paul. I know you got the meeting, so it was good seeing you, buddy. We'll let you fly out of here. We'll wrap this up here too very shortly. But I'm great that you're able to join us. So get in that meeting, have fun. All right. I think Jacob Slavin is the guy that would be the difference maker for the Canes, just in the sense that he can help to keep Washington under wraps a little bit. And obviously in games 3 and 4, you're going to have probably the Stahl line out against the OV line, but I think the key is going to be how do the other matchups work out, and that's where I think where you're like Strome's line could be huge for Washington, because he's probably going to get the off Stahl matchups. But we'll see. I think the series can go either so many different ways. I hope injuries, because the other thing too is, unlike other teams, both of these teams are pretty healthy going into the series, which is a rarity for round 2. So
Maravari's injured for the Caps. He's out for the season, but that was a big loss. But because he played almost the entire season up to his injury. So
true. Any other thoughts on the series, guys?
Get Brent Burns out of there.
I don't think it's happened unless there's an injury, though. I think, to be in fairness to Brett Burns, I thought he was better in the New Jersey series. I think
he was all right. Yeah, he was all right.
The whole entire 6-core D was okay. But yeah, I'd love to see Nichushkin get in. I just don't see it happen. I just not with Rod. Rod is not unless something's just going completely off kilter in the first game.
At least he did put Jankowski, and that made a big difference in the New Jersey series.
Yeah, and I think Logan Stankoven could have a big series for Carolina. He's kind of the underwritten player for them that they got in the Dallas trade that could maybe have a good series too. All right.
So I see, which I just to end it with that, I see the Caps winning 6 games. Not to say that I think all the games are going to be close. It's just they're going to pull it out at the end, that kind of thing. So it's going to be, if you did that whole thing where they do in soccer where they add all the points up, it's going to be very close goal-wise. But at the end, I think it's going to be like 4-2.
I agree with you. I think this is going to be a 6-7 game series either way it goes. Like I said, my heart wants to see Carolina win it, but my brain kind of thinks that Washington will win it. We know. So Sarah, you're going with Carolina because you got them winning every one of your 600 pools that you got out there, right?
Like, I wish I could. The delusion, obviously bias. If we can, I just keep thinking it. If we can beat New Jersey, I didn't have any. I was I kind of knew we were going to beat them. Obviously, it kind of scared me a little here and there, but I figured eventually we would have beat them. Washington is 50-50, and then Florida's the one I'm more so worried about. If we can get past Washington, then Florida's the one where I'm like, okay, we'll probably lose there, but. The thing is, I don't know. Florida-Dallas would be a good Stanley Cup final, and to be honest, that's almost the one I can almost see happening right now. But I couldn't tell you who's going to win that because they're both kind of, again, lights-out teams. I don't know if Florida would go for the back-to-back or it's pouring down rain here. It's kind of fun right now, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm just going to ride out on Carolina. I mean,
nothing wrong with that.
One year is going to be our year,
That's what we keep saying. We keep hoping.
Yeah. Something like
All
that.
right. Well, guys, we're at the end of the show. I'll go around here. Vic, I'll start with you. Anything you want to say as we wrap up? Any comments on any of the stuff coming up this week or anything like that?
Enjoy the sports and take care of yourself.
Love it. Scott?
Can't wait. Glad, I as I said earlier, I'm glad it's the Canes versus Cats first. You know how I feel about the Canes in general, but you get I think they're the 2 best teams that are coming from the division. So I think it's perfect.
One funny thing before Sarah, I'll let you do your thing too. But Jeff, who couldn't be on with us, but who's been on before, him and I, we have this thing. everyone knows about my little reverse jinx thing that I try to do, and Jeff does it with the caps too. So then whenever we play each other, the second one of us scores, the other one's like, "See, you're going to win this game." So we've made our pact for this round, so that way we don't get in trouble with each other. That we're not going to send each other a reverse jinx tweet or post saying, "Oh look, see, your team's going to win." We're not going to do that to each other. We're allowed to do it on like social media sites and to other people. We're just not going to do it to each other, so that way we can maintain our close friendship throughout this entire thing and not get mad at each other. Sarah, what do you got for the wrap up? Anything you want to talk about up there?
Not anything I can really think of. Don't know. This is good. The draft lottery's tonight. San Jose.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'm pretty sure, right?
Well, we'll see. Probably. They're doing this bingo style. I guess we're actually going to see the balls come up this time. So
it'll be Chicago again somehow. I guarantee it.
Or Pittsburgh. That's the one that would not surprise me, is somehow Pittsburgh is the number one pick. So that would be the team to watch to get.
Do we know who's like the top prospects this year? I can't remember.
No, I was going to do that as we get closer to the draft. I know this year is not really thought to be a great overall draft class. I think like there's 2 or 3 towards the top that they think will be like a top 6 type players, but then after that there's really not a lot. It's not really thought to be a very deep draft class this year. I think next year is the year that more has those type of top end prospects, but you have those years, so doesn't mean there's still not good players out there to be found. So all right guys, well, hey, I'm pretty much on time, 66 minutes. That's pretty good for me lately. So, but I appreciate you guys joining us. We'll see here where the series are at next week and who we have on and stuff like that. But of course, I always like to talk about the Sideline Junkies. You got the guys that will be back on Tuesday night for the Tuesday night flight. Then Wednesday, Jack is on with his passenger seat, which he always has some great interviews on there. Thursday, the guys are back for Thursday night throwdown. Then Sunday, you got the Sunday morning rise. And then, of course, I'm out here battling away on Mondays. But Scott, Vic, and Sarah, I appreciate you joining me again. As always, thank you guys for joining into the fun. And to everyone else out there, remember, hug your loved ones, tell them that you love them, because tomorrow is not guaranteed, but hopefully we are all here. And if so, we will see you next time. Take care, everyone.